Orcs are one of the most classic and beloved factions in all of fantasy. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to make an orc camp with some materials you might already have lying around the house. You're watching Eric's Hobby Workshop. I'm going to start this project with a bit of scrap insulation foam, cutting it into a rough tent shape with a sharp hobby knife. None of the foam will be visible in the end, so you could use a bit of packing foam or even a stack of cardboard for this part. The key is to have it a bit wider at the base and roughly circular. I cut a doorway shaped gap into the foam as well, about 1 inch wide and 1.5 inches tall. Next, I'm going to use some bamboo skewers. If you don't have some of these lying around for the barbecue, you can get hundreds of them at the dollar store for a few bucks. With a hot glue gun, I glue these skewers around the tent spaced somewhat regularly. These will be the tent poles. Oh, hang on a second, I'm getting an incoming transmission. Hi, Eric's Hobby Workshop. Ready to make a splash at the coolest pool party in Marvel Strike Force? Suit up in your pool party attire and join us to celebrate the release of Marvel Studios' Deadpool and Wolverine. It's time to show off your style. What does that mean? Do I have to dress up in pool party stuff for this? Marvel Strike Force is a mobile squad RPG that allows you to battle with your favorite superheroes and supervillains in a fight to save the universe against villains like Apocalypse and Doctor Doom. New characters are constantly being released like the Sentinel team and now Thanos. You can assemble your squad with characters from all corners of the multiverse, and upgrade your superheroes and villains to be stronger. Different game modes are released regularly, and specific heroes and villains can pair up to create synergies in battle. The game cinematics are really cool too, and you can unleash dynamic chain combos with a single tap. Join now and new players can get 100 Deadpool shards, 100 Wolverine shards, 500 power cores, and 5 premium orbs by using the promo code MUTANT. Celebrate the release of Marvel Studios' Deadpool and Wolverine by downloading the game and unlocking Deadpool and Wolverine for free using the limited time promo code. Thanks Marvel Strike Force for sponsoring this video. Now back to the build. The nice thing about crafting for orcs is that nothing needs to be precise, nothing needs to be square, and nothing needs to be accurate. It's extremely beginner friendly and forgiving. With some bits of skewer, I frame a simple door around my door hole, making sure the lintel is a bit longer than the width of the posts supporting it. I made a bunch of these tents and I didn't do this on all of them. You'll see. Now with the skewers glued on, I use a pair of snips to clip them to length so they don't overtop the foam base shape. This saves a bit of time so you don't need to measure all the tent poles first. Next, I poke a hole right in the center, and with a blob of hot glue I'll add a center post, then clip it so it sticks out about 1 inch. Next, I'll glue down another length of skewer, laying from the top of my tent posts to the central pole, but overlapping it by a bit on either end. Don't worry about the roughness of where the glue connects, because it won't be visible later. I keep moving around, laying down sticks so that they overlap each other at the peak. The skewers I'm using are a little bit too thick to have them all overlap, so once I have a few of these in place, I cut some shorter ones and simply glue them in at the join below, trying to keep a consistent slope with the surrounding beams. With this step done, you end up with something like this. Time to cover up these tent poles. So for the next step, you'll need some dry baby wipes. This package here is completely bone dry because the resealable lid didn't close all the way. If you have a little one in your house, you'll understand how easily this happens. Sometimes you're trying to close these things with your elbows and you've got a kicking, screaming kid and never mind. Anyways, a quick note about wipes. These are non-flushable wipes, which is to say they're quite durable. Flushable wipes are considerably less tough. They fall apart when they're wet and they should be avoided. Now in a pinch you could use paper towels or tissues for this step, but both are inferior options, and at the very least you need to avoid anything with a grain or pattern to it. You can see that these wipes have no pattern at all beyond a very faint grain and have an almost felt-like texture. They also have these folds in them, so we'll be careful and try to avoid those showing up in the final product as well. Anyways, I start by cutting up the wipe into rough shapes using a sharp pair of scissors. For some of the pieces, I made a sort of rounded X shape. This is to look like the pelt of some skinned animal. A few pieces in this shape will add a cool detail to the tent. Next, I'm going to use some wood glue, thinned with a little bit of water, and soak my pieces of baby wipe in this mixture, getting the whole piece saturated. Next, I take out one strip of cloth at a time, and lay them onto the tent. I work my way around the tent walls, layering on pieces in an overlapping manner. They should stick fairly well by themselves, and there's no need to worry about it looking too neat. As long as the edges are laying flat and it looks like gravity is affecting the fabric of the tent in a somewhat normal way, it'll look good. With the sides done, I do the same process on the roof, leaving just a little bit of the roof beams showing under the edges. Once everything is covered, I come back in with some of those pelt-shaped skins and lay them on over the top. So the tent is soaking wet now, but will dry in a few hours. It's important to put it down somewhere you'll be able to easily peel it off. I put mine down on the lid of a plastic tub, since the plastic's really easy to peel glue off of. Now, while my tents are drying, I had the idea to make a watchtower as well, so I figured, why not? Let's do it. As a kid, I used to love the game Warcraft 2, and for years I've been wanting to make a watchtower in a similar style to that one ever since I started collecting orcs and goblins as a kid. I started with some bamboo skewers as before, 4 of them 7 inches long. I wanted to make a nice tall watchtower that could see above the trees for miles around. Now, as I mentioned before, orc construction is rough and sketchy, but I didn't want to have a leaning or unstable tower on my hands. So I laid 2 of my posts down, and with some hot glue attached a crossbar about halfway up. I lined up the next 2 at the same angle, using another skewer to make sure they were all flat at the bottom. Now, a smart man here would have added more cross braces to these uprights before this next step, because this was sketchy. I attached the 4 posts together with 2 more cross beams, and you can see how wiggly and unstable this is, but I managed to pull it off. With the basic frame standing up, I go around adding cross braces. Again, I'm not measuring here, this is orc construction. On the top of these uprights, I'm going to add some cross beams to support the floor of the watchtower. Next, I'm going to lay a floor of skewers which will look like some rough-hewn logs. I leave a few gaps to make it look nice and orky. Next, I go around adding some vertical poles which will support the covered roof of the tower. I put them in a roughly hexagonal formation, which will give the top more roundness than the square shape of the tower. I did another central support post as well, just like the huts that I made, then laid the poles for the roof in the same way. I put some guardrails on as well, something the watchers could rest their hands on or elbows as they peer into the distance to look for riders. When I'm crafting, I always like to have a miniature on hand, so I put an orc crossbowman in there just to make sure everything is looking right, but it's pretty tight in there with the central pole, and it'll be even tighter when the roof is on, but we'll fix that later. Because I was working with hot glue and being a little bit sloppy, there are these little stringy bits of glue everywhere. To get rid of them, I used the heat from a lighter to melt them away. If you're going to copy this technique, be very careful because these skewers are of course flammable. I make sure I have a fire extinguisher handy in my workshop, and I recommend you guys get one as well. I don't think you're ever going to regret having a fire extinguisher around. Now back in the middle of the piece, I had a cross beam, and on top of this, I put another platform made of rough-hewn logs. I had some supports underneath it as well to give it a natural look. Considering the sense of weight that things should have at scale is one of the important ways that you can make a bunch of skewers look like a miniature tower. Of course, to get up and down from these platforms, my little guards will need some ladders. Now these are made from lengths of skewer as well, with bits of stir stick cut for rungs. I wasn't sure how to make a ladder look orky per se, so I did a few crooked rungs, which are a little silly, but I think it works. With a bit of hot glue, I stick those bad boys onto the tower as well. From here, I wanted to add a little bit more orky design ethos, so I placed a bunch of random planks all over the piece using some bits of coffee stir stick. I imagine these nicely milled bits of plank and board were looted from a man-made structure nearby, or perhaps stripped from a wagon or something. You can really go as overboard as you like at this point, but I wanted the silhouette of the tower to still be quite skeletal. It's not meant to withstand any sort of assault, it's just for lookout. And that's the basic shape done. So far so good. To add a little bit of detail, I wound some rope-looking synthetic thread around the joints and post here, and then I sealed it in place with some thin superglue. I had planned to do this on a lot more of the joins, especially where the hot glue was especially obvious, but it was a bit of a pain to do, and the rope looked thicker than I would have liked. I need to pick up a thinner string for future projects, but even so, it looks good where I did it. To add some extra detail, I had a bunch of bits from my bits box. Some orc and goblin shields to start with, applied with some hot glue. I also dusted off the box of Citadel skulls and applied a bunch of those around the structure. With my details down, I applied some glue-soaked wipes to make a hide roof, just like the huts. I really try to rub the wet wipes down over the posts underneath to get a natural drape effect. After a day of drying, it was stiff and solid and ready to paint. Alright, time to put some color on these bad boys. I start by using a brown primer that I got from the hardware store. This is one of those really thick and heavy, durable primer used for outdoor purposes that will soak into the tents and increase the durability when everything is finally dry. You can see that once painted this color, the hide is starting to really look like raw, untanned skins. This raw hide look is exactly what I wanted, and I'm thrilled it worked so well, to be honest. The first thing I'm going to do is give them a heavy dry brush with an off-white color, just to pick up what detail I can, the edges of the pelts, and especially emphasizing where the tent poles push up against the hides. This is going to make everything look so much more weighty and natural. Next, I used some thinned black paint to stain the cloth around the opening at the top, where the tent poles converge. This is to simulate some smoke stains, as if the orcs have a brazier or fire inside and this hole in the top is the vent. The bit of variation in the tone will also really help to add realism and some detail to break up this big brown surface. I used some even thinner black to stain around the bottom as well. This makes the tent look grounded, like it's absorbing dirt and moisture from its contact with the ground, and maybe even molding a little bit. It's details like this that make the tent look like it belongs in whatever landscape you place it in. I also punch up some shadows with this mix, shading wherever I think would look nice. A few random stains and splotches would be expected too. By that same token, I add a bit of thin green and blotch that around the base as well. This looks much more vibrant when it's wet than it does when it dries, but this will help to add some more subtle variation in color and weathering. I imagine orcs wouldn't be too fussy about the cleanliness of their tents, and so this is the moss and mildew and damp that has grown in the skins after being put away wet on campaign for years, or simply pitched in a damp environment and neglected a little. Every detail you add adds to the story, and any story can be told in details. Take some time with your own projects to consider the lives of the minis that will inhabit your work, their climate, their culture, and their past. It all adds up to something lovely. I decided I wanted to vary the tones of the skins, so I used some thin speed paints to stain them. I chose various identifiable pieces of wipe and carefully stained them a variety of browns. This further gives the impression that the tents are made of pelts and skins of various animals, and that the hides are of various age and quality as well. Perhaps some of these square-cut pieces were raw hides from a caravan of trade goods, bound for a city to be made into leather in a tannery when the caravan was set upon by orcs. That'd be cool. I set about picking out the details on the model as well, painting skulls, shields, and other bits. This shield here is a Reiksguard Knight shield, so I painted it the same colors that my brother's knights have their shields painted. It's little details like this that can help remind your opponents of your victories. They also tell a great story. I also painted the ends of the logs in a paler color where they were visible to make them look more like logs. Reasonably successfully, I think. Now, with all the hides painted on my tents, I decided to add a bunch of bits to make them look more interesting and more lived in. For this one, I trimmed down a banner from a Black Orc kit, and it makes a great tent flap. A skull or two next to the door gives an extra savage look to everything as well. This big skull from an Ogre Kingdoms kit makes a nice ornamentation above this door, and I add some Beastman shields on there as well. I think these shields work well as if they're orc shields, but you could also imagine that these orcs have had some recent enmity with some beastmen, which would be why there's so many bestial heads above their tent doors. Now with my bits on, I use a little bit of brush on primer and start painting them up. I want to make these details look nice, but I deliberately chose a drab and muted color palette. I don't want these huts to have too many details that beg for attention. They are set dressing after all, so the fewer colors that you put on your terrain, the less you have to worry about the colors clashing with whatever minis you put on that set. A few details like the blood running down on this hand are more than enough to reward a closer look though. The wood on the tower was looking a bit dull and flat, so I decided to add some more weathering. I made a thin mix of two of my favorite paints, Tundra Taupe and Matte Black, and I applied this on all the wood surfaces, deliberately leaving a mottled finish. As this dries, it's going to give the wood a much more realistic look. I put my orc up in the top of the watchtower just to make sure everything is looking as it should. And while I like how it's looking, it's really quite inconvenient to get a model in and out. So I decided to carefully cut the roof off where it was glued, making it removable. Now I can easily load a bunch of orcs in there, and then place the roof back on when I'm done. For mini gameplay situations, it can be quite useful to have a base under your models. I wanted these huts in this tower to remain separate from their bases, but still have a base just in case. I made these bases from PVC board, beveling the edge for a nice gradual slope to my tabletop. You can see I've traced the outline of 3 huts on this big one. It's important to me that these bases are durable, and if they do get chipped, no white shows through. So I start by painting on a mix of black paint and matte varnish. This is going to act as a primer. As soon as I start painting, I realized I was going to paint over the outlines of my huts, so I only painted around them. Sometimes I'm fumbling my way through something, making it up as I go along, and I'm like, damn, I'm filming this as a tutorial. I hope it works. Well, let's see. Alright, next, I'm going to make some ground texture, just so the base isn't so flat. I mixed some Sculptamold, some ink, some sand, and some varnish. In the past, I might have just used pure Sculptamold for this, but again, I'm thinking about not just durability, but what this stuff is going to look like on the inside if it gets chipped. I want this stuff to be brown on the inside. I apply this gunk to the base as well, trying to pile it up around the outline of the tents. This should help make it really clear where they go, and make them fit in nicely with the base. Nice. I smooth it out with a wet finger once it's all in place, just to keep the texture nice and flat. When that's dry, I paint on a mix of varnish and brown ink just to seal everything in again and darken it a little bit. I've never done this before, but I figure the more layers of varnish the better, so I'm taking the opportunity to experiment a little bit. Next, I make one final mix of varnish, brown paint, and sand and paint that on all over. The result is a nearly indestructible dirt layer. It was a bit of a convoluted process, but R&D is part of what I do here, and I'm happy with it. I thin down some white glue with some water and apply it in blotches around the piece. In this particular case, I used a dirty container from a previous step, but it doesn't matter, it'll all blend in. I sprinkle some green flock onto these patches and let it dry. As a final step, I add a few more patches of glue and apply static grass. And that's it. And there we have it, a quick and beautiful little orc camp. I had such fun building this set. It's one that I've wanted to do for quite a while now, and I have some plans to expand it as well. It's extremely rewarding to make a little self-contained project like this that comes together quickly. If you decide to give it a try, send me some pictures. If you want to support the channel, please consider joining me on Patreon. As I mentioned, all the miniature paints that I use in this video are from the Army Painter. And since I'm a member of the Army Painter Factory team, I have a promo code for you guys to get 5% off all Army Painter products, and I'll put that down in the description box below. If you want an additional 5%, you can get the 10% off promo code on my Patreon. And thanks to Marvel Strike Force for sponsoring this video. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on Eric's Hobby Workshop.